Jim?
What's up, buddy? It's What Jim. I'm joined by Arthur Parsons. I'm interviewing him on his video game FunkoFusion. How are we doing, Arthur?
I'm good, thanks, Adam. It's good to see you, and thank you for inviting me for a chat. Um, Looking forward to telling you a little bit about what I guess I've been up to.
I've got 10 questions for you,
Okay.
so might as well get started with the first question I have. How did you get into the gaming industry?
Huh. How did I get into the gaming industry? So, and it's not a great story because I went off to university with all these dreams and all these ambitions. Um, and very quickly realized that the course I was doing wasn't really particularly exciting. So I wanted to be an architect. Unfortunately, I didn't get the A levels with which to go and study architecture at Edinburgh. So I did my fallback plan, which was studying building engineering at the University of Liverpool. Um,
Mm.
and, you know, so I'm not going to in any way, shape, or form knock engineers because I'm sure that there's lots of people that love engineering. I didn't because I didn't find tensile strengths of steel or heat capacitance of glass or different types of concrete particularly exciting. So after 2 years of university, I actually dropped out. So I'm a university dropout. And at that point in time, I didn't really know what I was going to do. And I remember basically picking up a copy of the Liverpool Echo. And in the back of it, as I was looking through job adverts, there was an advert for video game testers at a company called Signosis, which was in Wavertree in Liverpool. So I answered an ad in the paper. I turned up for an interview. I tested, I think it was like monster trucks on PlayStation. So I went along, played that, answered some questions, and then the next thing they gave me a job, and it was like, cool. Turned up to work, and then I was sat with a couple of hundred testers, testing some of the games that people will have played on PlayStation, things like Destruction Derby, Formula One, G Police, Cyberdeck, basically a load of games that Psygnosis made back in the day. So that was back in the sort of mid to late 90s. I think video game testers probably don't get the credit they deserve because it is such a hard job and it's such an important job. Um, but I did that for about 2 years. And I remember very, very early in my testing career, I had a terrible car. My first car was awful. It was a Mark One Astra, and it wasn't really fit for purpose. And I remember being sat at Signosis, and someone came in and basically asked if anyone would volunteer to go and test on site at a video game studio. And I knew that if you went and tested on site, you got access to the pool cars, right? And there was a lovely Honda Civic, which was one of the pool cars. Knowing my car was nearly dead, I put my hand up and I was like, yeah, I'll do it. So got access to the pool car. And the next thing, I was testing on site in a barn for a company called Traveller's Tales, which is how
Mm.
I met my future colleagues and my future boss. I think I was testing a game called Rascal, and then I think I ended up testing A Bug's Life, a couple of other bits on and off with Traveller's Tales. And then that was my thing when I was at Signosis. I was the guy that kind of went to the different studios to do the on-site testing. So I remember I flew and did 4 weeks in Seattle. I went to Paris a bit. I would go all over the place testing on site for studios. After a couple of years of that, I got offered a job at Traveller's Tales, and I then worked there for a long time, about 22, 23 years, something like that, working on everything from Toy Story through to Crash Bandicoot, and then eventually the Lego games, which I spent most of my career doing, and that's obviously where I first met you. And
Mhm.
then at the end of that journey, during COVID, I decided I wanted a bit of a change, and that's obviously where 1010 Games sort of came about. Was John, myself, Paul, wanting to start something new and do something new and exciting and different from the ground up, basically.
You mentioned Crash Bandicoot. I've got Crash Bandicoot Funko next to me.
I've got a lot of Funko Pops. So I've got a load of He-Man ones here. The Boys, Miami Vice, Legally Blonde, Duran Duran, The Goonies. I've got loads. I love collecting Funko Pops. I've got absolutely stacks of them.
Before I move on to the next question, you mentioned Liverpool several times.
Yes.
Yeah, I love going to Liverpool. I'm a big Beatles fan, so I've been there quite a few times. And I'll move on to my second question. So, what's some of the games you've directed and been involved with?
So in terms of the games that I've been involved with and directed, I've been incredibly lucky, I think, throughout my career. You know, it has been a career with a lot of highlights. You know, right now, obviously, I'm working on FunkoFusion, which we'll talk about a bit more in a bit. But you know, looking back through the games I've worked on, from a design and a game direction perspective, everything from a game way back in the day, Muppet Race Mania, which was on PlayStation, which was like a little kart racing game featuring the Muppets. Crash Bandicoot Wrath of Cortex. I got to work on Lego Bionicle Heroes. I got to then work on Lego Batman, the video game. So I worked largely on the superhero games. I game directed things like, the Lego Batman series, Lego Batman 3, Lego DC Supervillains, Lego Marvel Superheroes, Lego Marvel Avengers, also Lego Marvel Superheroes 2, and also the Lego Harry Potter games. And then I was also involved, so a good friend of mine, Jimmy, was the game director on Lego Dimensions, which I'm sure you'll remember. I worked as a co-game director on the second year of Lego Dimensions with Jimmy.
So what were some of the games that you played when you were growing up?
I remember like my earliest sort of game that I was addicted to was on the VIC-20. I had a game called Tomb of Druin, which was a 20 by 20 grid RPG, and I loved that. Super Sprint, Ikari Warriors, Commando. God, I used to play loads of games. What sort of things did you play when you were sort of first gaming?
Well, obviously the Lego games. I played a lot of them growing up. Loved kart racers.
I'm an absolute sort of mug for anything Mario or Captain Toad or Rayman. I definitely have a type of game I love, which is largely platformers, that sort of action adventure platformer type game. Love Ratchet and Clanks, Jack and Daxter back in the day, that sort of thing. Spyro the Dragon. So
yeah. But now we move on to the next question. So tell me about the team over at 1010 Games.
The team here at 1010.
Yeah.
Wow. So we've got a really talented, sort of exciting, diverse team here at 1010 Games. From the start of the studio, where there was literally 3 of us, no office, on a Zoom call, we've now grown to over 80 people. There's an awful lot of people who we've kind of brought onto the team who it's their first game that they're working on. It's their first game in the industry. And we've tried to really invest in the studio in terms of like making sure that we do things the right way, and we don't do crunch, we don't do overtime, and just like enjoy making games, because making games should be fun. It's hard at times, but we're trying to make it as enjoyable as possible for everyone. So yeah, it really is a lovely team. There's some people I've worked with in the past that work with us, as well as the new faces. So lots of really fun people. We do have some people that are working remote as well. So we have a handful of people that are kind of based around the UK. And then we've got a handful of people that are overseas. So we've got someone out in Germany. We've got someone over in the States. So there are sort of also a few people that work remote.
So my next question, where are you based? Where's your FunkoFusion office based?
So 1010 Games is based in a town called Warrington. So we are pretty much equidistant between Liverpool and Manchester. Just a nice town to be in. We work hybrid, so I love being in the office because, you know, I've got noisy dogs, I've got noisy kids, and so I like being in the office to, you know, and I like bouncing and creative ideas off people.
For the next question, how did the FunkoFusion game come about?
That, Adam, is a very interesting question. I remember I got a phone call off of my old boss John, and he basically just sort of said to me, because I'd left my old job and I was just trying to figure out like what do I do next, and he just gave me a call and was just like, "Do you fancy a new adventure?" And I was like, "What do you mean, do I fancy a new adventure?" And he was like, I'm thinking of like starting a new studio, and are you into it? Are you up for it? Um, and and I was like, well, what sort of games are we going to do? Have you got any idea of what you want to sort of like build the studio on? And he just said, yeah, I've had a conversation with Funko, and I want to make a game with Funko Pops. And I just said yes. I didn't even ask any more questions. I was just like, yeah, I'll do that. Mainly because for years I've collected Funko Pops.
I've always wanted to go to one of those Funko stores. Have you ever been to one of them?
I have. I've been very fortunate to have gone to the sort of headquarters, which is just outside of Seattle, about 45 minutes outside of Seattle, and it's amazing. It's incredible. I haven't yet been to the Hollywood store, but I plan on going to the Hollywood store at some point later this year once the game's finished. And working with Funko is just a whole lot of fun. They are just people like you and me that are fans of stuff. Yeah, it's really energizing. It's really invigorating, and yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff, and that obviously is formed part and parcel of what FunkoFusion is about. It's marrying our passion for gaming, their passion for fandoms, and mixing it together to make what we'd like to think is a great game that people are going to love when it comes out.
So when does FunkoFusion come out?
So the game is going to be coming out on September the 13th this year. So it's not too long away in the distance. And yeah, we are super excited for people to be able to get to play it, to be able to see more about it, because obviously there's so many things we've not talked about yet in the game. But yeah, it's out this year, September the 13th, on PlayStation 5, Xbox, and Steam. And I think people will really enjoy the game. I think they'll love what they see because we've put a lot of love and a lot of care from a lot of very talented people into this game. FunkoFusion is going to be available on PlayStation 5, Xbox, Steam, and then also PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch. You only have to look at the box art that when we revealed that, and the trailer from April, just to see how weird and wonderful the game's going to be. If you look at all the different franchises that are in there, there's a lot of fun stuff. I don't know. Are there any of your sort of favorite IP in that mix?
Well, I was pleasantly surprised to see Jaws in there.
Yes. Yeah. For me, I grew up on a Saturday morning watching He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, so I'm really excited to be bringing some He-Man content into the game. There's some great movies like Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz and Scott Pilgrim. We've got Five Nights at Freddy's, we've got Invincible, and then some cool stuff that you just wouldn't think would all gel together. Iconic movie like The Thing, classic TV shows like Battlestar Galactica or Xena, and then big blockbusters, Jurassic World, Back to the Future. So lots of really cool stuff. And I think the more we show of the game, the more people will get excited about what's in there and what they can play.
So what's your favorite license in the game? For me, it's Jaws.
Favorite
Back to the Future
license?
as well.
Yeah, and you know what? They are both really cool, and I think, and it's good because obviously you're of an age where you wouldn't necessarily have grown up on those movies because I'm assuming that's, you know, mum and dad's influence, sort of like getting you to watch those movies as you're growing up and stuff. Um, but it's great that things like that are going to appeal to you. For me, if I was to go out and say there's a favorite franchise, there are loads of things in there that are really cool and exciting. But I think anyone that knows me knows just how much I do love He-Man. Um, you know, I was literally what, 8 years old in 1983, sat watching like those episodes on my TV. It was a big part of my childhood, and I've never ever had the opportunity to get Masters of the Universe in a game, and so to be able to do it, I was really excited. Um, you know, I've literally got what behind me here. I've got over 100 Masters of the Universe Funko Pops. It's probably the IP in my pop collection where I've got the most. I've also got some of the Mondo figures, you know, the 1/6 scale, like big He-Man, big Skeletor, Beastman. What I would love is for anyone that picks the game up that maybe isn't into He-Man, just to play that level, hear the theme song, and just be like, this is cool. And then go and watch some of the old episodes. So even though I said I wouldn't answer the question, I did, Adam. You forced it out of me.
Forced out of you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to playing He-Man in the game. You also got him as an exclusive Funko Pop when the game
Yeah,
releases.
that was at the end of the trailer, wasn't it? There was like a little tease of um, some FunkoFusion branded pops that will accompany the game. So that's definitely something that anyone that's a pop collector, anyone that's interested in the game, should just keep their eyes and ears open to just learn a little bit more about those collectibles. They're just a great way of extending your, I guess, engagement. You know, they're fantastic boxes. In terms of what they look like, and how they sit on a shelf. So I'm excited to get those and to add them to my collection. I would definitely be putting those in pop protectors.
But I've got a very difficult question for you now.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry if you can't answer this. Do
Okay.
you have a favorite Funko?
If I believe it or not, I do have a favorite Funko Pop, and I think again it's sort of like a nod back to my childhood. So, you know, if you look through, even just through around my office, right, it's an eclectic mix of oddities. Everything tells a different story about like who I am. I've got Goonies pops and Goonies pop pins because it's probably my favorite movie of all time. My more treasured ones are the ones I've got at home. So um, I have the full set of Fraggle Rock Funko Pops. My favorite individual Funko Pop is actually my Tony the Tiger Funko Pop, but it's the rare flocked Tony the Tiger Funko Pop. Um, so yeah, my Tony the Tiger Funko Pop is my favorite one. It's the flocked one. It's quite valuable, and that's in a pop protector in my living room. Believe it or not, it's pride of place in my living room, along with a load of my other collectible stuff. What's your favorite pop that you've got?
I think my favourite's what I've got next to me, the John Lennon Funko Pop.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
I think I got it from it was either for Christmas or my birthday. I got it for.
Yeah, I do love the ones as well. I don't know. Have you seen the ones where you actually get the vinyl record as well? The big ones. So you get a vinyl record and then you get
No,
like the
I think I've
band
seen
stuff.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some real nice ones. I think someone in the office had a U2 one which looked really cool. Um, but there's so many great ones up on my shelf. I've got like the first He-Man pop, which is the slightly old style version, which is actually quite rare now. But it's just sat amongst all my other He-Man ones, and yeah, there's lots of lots of cool, exciting pops. And there's always one I want as well. I don't know if you find this. There's always like, I want the next one, or I want the dark light ones. I love
Yeah.
those ones, or black light ones. And yeah, I've got a lot of pops. Anyone that knows me knows that's the way to my heart, is to find me a cool, exciting pop, especially if it's a chase variant or a Comic-Con exclusive.
Enough talking about Funkos and video games in general. I've got a music themed question. So
Music,
yeah. So
okay,
I'm a member of the vinyl community. There's a group of thousands of us just doing videos talking about music. We mainly talk about music from the 60s and 70s. They're my favorite decades of music. Do
right.
you have any favorite decades of music, or just bands or artists out there?
So again, my musical tastes, and if you ask anyone that knows me, they generally say my musical tastes are terrible. Um, which, I disagree, because obviously it's my taste, but I do love 80s music, um, new romantic stuff. I do love 90s music. um, I love Spandau Ballet, New Order, um, the Smiths. um, and then I also really, really like uh, dance music from, I guess, the time where I was out clubbing. My go-to karaoke song is "Aha, Take on Me," um, which
That's a good song, that one, yeah.
it's a great song and it's a great video, right? It's just classic. My mum and dad were big into Queen and Tina Turner, um, so you know, I do have a strong affinity, definitely, with Queen. But if I'm going to listen to music, largely, I'll listen to 80s and 90s. There's just something about cheesy 80s music that just makes me smile. And I think, there's a lot of things in life that are there to challenge you and to stop you smiling. And I just like to smile. I just like to have a good laugh. I'm not particularly a music connoisseur. Like, my kids and my wife are. I admire the fact that you're into 60s and 70s music.
Yeah.
That's unusual. But again, I guess that's definitely your mum and dad's influence, I reckon.
And it also, me listening to the Beatles got me into all sorts of music, like the Traveller
Excellent.
Wilburys. I'm a big Traveller Wilburys fan. Roy Orbison's my favourite singer of all time.
Nice,
I
nice.
love collecting Roy Orbison records.
Yeah.
Do you have any records? Do you have a record collection?
So I did have a record collection when I was younger, and I reckon it's probably still in my mum and dad's garage. I don't think, and don't judge me on this, I don't think there'd be records that you would be making a big statement about owning. I think the first ever record I bought, I think, was Madonna, True Blue. I
I
think.
think I think my mum had that one, actually.
Yeah, there's something magical about taking an LP out of the
Mhm.
sleeve, and
Yeah.
seeing it, and the artwork on some of the sleeves and stuff. There is something magical. I used to sort of listen to my mum and dad's sort of Dire Straits and Fleetwood Mac albums as well. My youngest daughter is into vinyl, and she's 17, and she's got into vinyl now. Now vinyl's come back round again. So
So do you listen to music in your spare time then?
no, generally in my spare time, I'll have music on now and again, but I've got this weird obsession with podcasts. I guess I kind of listen to music when I go round to friends' houses, and for like sort of a social interaction.
So I think that's all the time we've got for. So thanks for doing this, Arthur. I really appreciate it. Thanks for answering my questions.
My pleasure, Adam. It's always good to talk to you. It's great to sort of like have seen you play games that I've been involved with over the years, and get to your sort of 100% on each of them. And I can't wait for you to play FunkoFusion.
In the description below, I've got a link to the FunkoFusion official trailer, which was released in April, as well as a link to the 1010 Games channel to keep up to date with all things FunkoFusion. But thanks again, Arthur. I'd appreciate it if people watching this would give this video a like. Do you have any final words?
No, it's just a pleasure, absolute pleasure. And genuinely, if you're ever going to be coming up this neck of the woods, give me a shout, and come in, see what we're up to, meet the team.
But thanks for watching, everyone. Until next time, ciao.
Ciao. Is that your closing remarks?
Yeah.